Long ago in the town of Bethlehem there lived a man named Jesse. Among his sons was the youngest, David, a boy who spent much of his time in the fields caring for sheep. At first glance, David seemed ordinary, overlooked even by his own family. But God saw something extraordinary in him. He saw a heart full of faith, courage, and devotion. David's youth was shaped in the quiet hillsides. As a shepherd, he learned responsibility, discipline, and bravery. When wild animals threatened his flock, David risked his life to protect them. Once he struck down a lion with his staff. Another time he grabbed a bear by its mane and killed it. These battles in secret pastures, unseen by the world, prepared him for the public battles that would one day define him as Israel's greatest king. At this time, Israel's first king, Saul, had fallen out of favor with God. His disobedience led the Lord to seek another, a man after his own heart. God sent the prophet Samuel to Jesse's house to anoint the new king. Jesse proudly presented his older sons, tall, strong, and impressive. But the Lord whispered to Samuel, "Do not look at the outward appearance. People see the outside, but I look at the heart." Finally, when young David was brought from the fields, Samuel knew he was the one. He anointed David with oil, and from that moment the Spirit of the Lord rested on him mightily. Though anointed, David did not immediately become king. Instead, he continued serving humbly, tending sheep and playing the harp. His musical skill brought him into King Saul's court, where he played to soothe the troubled king's spirit. Saul loved him at first, making him his armor-bearer. But destiny was calling David to a greater stage. That moment came when the Philistines, Israel's enemies, sent out their champion, Goliath, a giant nearly 10 feet tall. For 40 days, Goliath taunted Israel, mocking their God. The soldiers trembled. Even King Saul was afraid. But when David, still a boy, visited the battlefield to deliver food to his brothers, he was outraged. "Who is this uncircumcised Philistine," he asked, "that he should defy the armies of the living God?" Against all odds, David volunteered to fight. Refusing armor and sword, he chose only a sling and 5 smooth stones. As Goliath mocked him, David declared, "You come against me with sword and spear, but I come against you in the name of the Lord Almighty." With a single stone, David struck Goliath's forehead. The giant fell face down, and David cut off his head with the giant's own sword. Israel erupted in victory, and David became a national hero. But fame brought trouble. As the people praised David more than Saul, singing, "Saul has slain his thousands and David his tens of thousands," jealousy consumed the king. From that day on, Saul viewed David as a rival. Twice, Saul tried to kill David with a spear, and many times he sent men to hunt him down. For years, David lived as a fugitive. He hid in caves, deserts, and foreign lands, gathering a band of loyal men who followed him. Twice he had opportunities to kill Saul, but he refused, saying, "I will not lift my hand against the Lord's anointed." David's patience and respect showed his deep trust in God's timing, even when life was unfair. Eventually, Saul's reign ended in tragedy. After a battle against the Philistines, Saul fell on his own sword. His death left the throne empty. At last, David was crowned king, first over Judah, and later over all Israel. As king, David achieved greatness. He conquered Jerusalem and made it Israel's capital, calling it the City of David. He brought the Ark of the Covenant into the city with rejoicing, dancing before the Lord with all his might. Israel prospered under his leadership, and their enemies fell one by one. Yet even a man after God's own heart was not without failure. One spring, when kings usually went to battle, David remained in Jerusalem. From his rooftop he saw Bathsheba, the wife of Uriah, bathing. Desire led him to sin. He called for her, committed adultery, and when she became pregnant, he arranged for Uriah's death in battle. The prophet Nathan confronted David with a parable of a rich man stealing a poor man's only lamb. When David angrily condemned the man, Nathan declared, "You are the man." Convicted, David confessed, saying, "I have sinned against the Lord." Though God forgave him, David faced painful consequences: conflict in his household, rebellion from his own son Absalom, and grief that never left his heart. Through joy and sorrow, David poured out his soul to God in songs and prayers. Many of these became the Psalms. words of worship, repentance, and hope that still speak to us today. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. Create in me a clean heart, O God, and renew a right spirit within me. These timeless verses reveal David's heart, broken yet surrendered, flawed yet faithful. David's later years were marked by both triumph and turmoil. He expanded Israel's borders and secured peace, but his family struggles brought him sorrow. Absalom, his beloved son, rebelled and sought the throne. David fled Jerusalem weeping, but in time, Absalom was defeated and killed. David mourned bitterly, crying, "O my son Absalom, if only I had died instead of you." His grief showed the depth of his fatherly love, even for a rebellious child. As David grew old, he prepared for the future. He appointed Solomon, his son by Bathsheba, as his successor. Before his death, he charged Solomon to walk faithfully with God and to lead Israel with wisdom. David reigned 40 years, 7 in Hebron and 33 in Jerusalem. When his time came, he died peacefully, having fulfilled his purpose. David's story did not end with his death. From his lineage came the promise of a greater king, Jesus Christ, the Son of David, who would reign forever. David's life, with its victories and failures, points us to the true king who never sins, never fails, and never abandons his people. The story of David teaches us that God looks at the heart, not outward appearance. It shows us the importance of faith when facing giants, patience when waiting for God's timing, humility and repentance, and trust in God's mercy. From shepherd boy to king, from sinner to psalmist, David's journey reminds us that no life is too small, no sin too great, and no heart too broken for God to redeem. And that brings us to the end of today's story. The life of King David reminds us that God can use anyone, no matter how small, no matter how flawed, to accomplish great things when the heart is surrendered to him. From shepherd boy to king, David's journey shows us both the weight of sin and the beauty of God's mercy. If you enjoyed this story and want to hear more powerful lessons straight from the Bible, make sure to subscribe to Bible Lovers. Don't forget to like this video, share it with someone who needs encouragement, and turn on the notification bell so you never miss a new story. Thank you for watching and for being part of this community of believers. Until next time, stay blessed, stay encouraged, and always remain a true Bible lover.